Host.
Yes,
Hello. Can I ask you a question?
yes, you may.
Uh, the what the math class? What happened?
I'm not sure. I don't deal with the math class.
Oh, are you separate from the math class?
Yes.
Oh, I thought you were the same guy.
No, no, no. What happened on the math class?
No, no, there was nothing. The class went up going, and there was no teacher.
No teacher. Okay, I'll bring it up to our teachers and then just see what happened from our side on that.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thanks for bringing it to my attention.
Uh, about I asked you yesterday about new teachers for Afrikaans.
Yes.
Uh, will you give the students data for coming on Zoom?
That's not something we're looking at the moment.
Because I asked the teacher at my school, and she said she would love to, but the students are struggling with their internet.
Yes, so we are looking at doing something where if you enter the meeting, we will incur the data for that. But that's still something that they're working on.
Oh, so I can tell her about that.
You can tell her about that, but it's not set in stone yet, and we don't know when that will be active yet. But it is something they are working on.
Oh, thanks, man.
Not a problem. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. It is Wednesday, the 29th of April. It's 12 p.m. You know what time it is? It is time for English, grade 8, first additional language. I would like to welcome everybody, our 24 participants, 25 years. Welcome to today's lesson. That is me, your educator, your presenter. Please say hi if you can hear me. Say hi if you hear me. Say hi. So good to read your greetings. Hello, everybody. Yes, hello. Hi, hello. Okay, everybody's happy. I'm happy at the comfort of our own homes. Yes, it's time for English grade 8. Let's continue with today's lesson. Yes, like I said yesterday, I did say that today we are going to go through simple present tense, simple past tense, emotive language, manipulative language, sentence structure, as well as negation. So that is what today's lesson would be all about. But before we go to today's lesson, let's recap what we did yesterday. This is what we did yesterday. Yesterday we were talking about auxiliary verbs and finite verbs. Yes, we did say that auxiliary verbs help to regulate the tenses of sentences. You remember that, right? I also did say that an auxiliary verb is a special kind of a verb that adds number and tense to the action verb, and it helps to make it finite. And we also said that finite verbs have a subject, a tense, and they can be singular or plural. You all remember that, right? And not only that, I also gave you a homework yesterday. I'm wondering if you have done the homework. I'm wondering if you did the homework yesterday where I gave you 10 sentences and I asked you to fill in the auxiliary verbs in those sentences so that those sentences will become finite verbs. Do you remember that? Yes, that was yesterday's homework. I hope you did it, and I hope nobody really had a problem with that. It really wasn't a, a very difficult homework, and it wasn't really so much work as well. So I think we can pass and continue with today's lesson. There's so much to cover in today's lesson, and even today's homework is gonna be some work. So are you ready? I am ready. So let's continue with today's lesson. Yes, remember that the tense of the verb tells us whether something is in the past, present, or future. So the tense of a verb, it tells us about an action. It tells us about an event, whether that event has happened in the past, whether it is happening right now in the present, or whether it's going to happen sometime in the future. So that's something you need to understand and to put at the back of your mind for today's lesson so that today's lesson will be meaningful for you. All right, let's continue. Simple present tense. Simple present tense, it tells us about something that happens usually or regularly, right? Here is my example right there. I said, I brush my teeth twice every day. So my sentence there is in simple present tense because I am telling you something that which I do usually. I'm telling you something that which I do regularly. So I brush my teeth twice every day. That is an example of a sentence in simple present tense. Are we all together? Okay, another thing about simple present tense is that they do not need an auxiliary verb to form the tense. So I'm gonna use my example again. I brush my teeth twice every day, right? So if you can analyze my sentence right here, you would realize that there is no auxiliary verb at all, right? There is no auxiliary verb at all. There is no auxiliary verb at all. So you can see the word I there is a pronoun. Brush is a verb. My is a personal pronoun. Teeth is a noun. Sorry. So you can see there that there is no auxiliary verb at all. So simple present tense, they do not need an auxiliary verb to form the tense. Are we all together? Remember, guys, if you have a question, please use our chat feature and I will attend to your question. Okay, please use the text feature for your question and I will attend to it as soon as I see your question. So those are the examples of simple present tense. That is how it works. It tells us about something that happens usually or regularly. You can say I write, that's simple present tense. I read, I teach, I text, I chat, I eat, I sleep. Those are examples of simple present tense because they tell us about something that happens usually, something that happens regularly, and they do not need an auxiliary verb to form the tense. As I was saying, we are on simple present tense, and I was saying that it is formed by using the verb the way it appears in the dictionary, and that is called the stem form. So what you see in the dictionary is called, what you see the word written in the dictionary is what we call the stem form of a word. So when you write a simple present tense, can you all hear me? Please say hi if you can hear me. So let me go back to simple present tense. I was saying that the simple present tense, I was saying the simple present tense is formed by using the verb as it appears in the dictionary or in the thesaurus, right? And that form is called the stem form of a word. For example, I said I brush. So if you can look for the word brush in the dictionary, you will find it as it is, as the word brush, right? So the form at which you find a word in the dictionary, it is called the stem form of a word. So for a simple present tense, we use those verbs as they appear in the dictionary. So in my example, I said I brush. So I brush, that is a simple present tense. The simple present tense tells us that the action is happening now and that the action is complete. So when I say I brush, that is complete. You don't need to ask more. What am I brushing? How? When? Where? When I say I brush, it is a complete sentence. And I am telling you what is happening right now. So I say I teach, I present. That is what I'm doing now. So it is in a simple present tense. Are we all together? Remember, you can use the chat to ask questions if you do not understand. All right, let's go on. So if the subject is in a singular third person, then the letter S is added to the verb. This reminds me of the question I got yesterday. There was somebody who asked why in a simple present tense the S is only added for a third person, but not for first and second person. Let's go to our examples. So if you can go to my second example of I present the lesson. I present the lesson. Why? Because remember, I is me, so I is myself, and I am the first person. So I present the lesson. We don't need to have the S at the end of present. It is not I present the lesson. No, that's incorrect. It is I present the lesson because I am in the first person. But in the second person, it will also be the same. I would say you present the lesson, right? But when you go to the third person, that is where things change now. It will be, as I've written in the fourth example, it will be he presents the lesson. You see that? He presents the lesson. He presents the lesson. Remember, he is a third person pronoun, right? Again, she teaches the lesson. She is also a third person pronoun, right? So we only add the S when we are dealing with the third person, right? The third person, that is only when we add that's only when we add the letter S at the end of our verb. Are we all together? Remember, if you have a question, please use our chat feature to ask a question, and I will attend to your question during the course of the lesson. So that was simple present tense. Now we are moving to simple past tense. So simple past tense, it tells us about something that has already happened. Remember, in the simple present tense, I said I brush my teeth, right? Twice every day. So in the simple past tense, now I'm going to tell you what I did. So it tells us about what has already happened. So what happened this morning? I brushed my teeth this morning. I brushed my teeth this morning. So I just told you what happened. So that is what simple past tense is all about. So simple past tense do not need an auxiliary verb to form the tense. The same with simple present tense. The simple past tense do not need an auxiliary verb to form the tense. So here's my example. I brushed my teeth. So you'll see that there is no auxiliary verb. Why? Because I is a personal pronoun. Brushed is a verb in the past tense. My is a personal pronoun, and teeth is a noun. So if you analyze my example there is no auxiliary verb, and every simple past tense do not need an auxiliary verb to form the tense. You should know that, you should remember that. Okay, yes. So the simple past tense is formed by using the verb as it appears in the dictionary, and you add the suffix "ed" to that verb, or for some verbs you change the verb completely. Here is an example. So remember, I said I brushed. Remember, brushed is the past tense of the word brush. So what I did for it to be in the past tense, I just added ed. I just added the suffix ed. Right? Okay. So for the second example, I taught the lesson. Remember, taught is the past tense of the word teach. So there is no such thing as teached. No, there's no teached. The past tense of teach is not teached. The past tense of teach is taught. So you realize that with some verbs, you do not simply add the add for the simple past tense, but you change the verb completely. You know, there are some verbs which are like that, and I'm sure you can think of them right now. You know, you can think of them right now. Remember, like for example, the past tense of make is made. You know, it's not made. You know, so yes, there are several examples of such words in the English language. So that's what you need to remember, that for a simple past tense, we do not need an auxiliary verb. Nope, we do not need. Remember, a simple past tense, it tells us something which has already happened. You know, it is in the past. I brushed my teeth. That's all there is to it. You know, no, not I am brushed my teeth. No, that is not proper English. So for simple past tense, you do not need an auxiliary verb. You know, because the verb itself in the past tense, it communicates. You know, I brushed my teeth, we brushed our teeth. So it's all the same, guys. Okay. So there's no need for an auxiliary verb for a simple past tense. And again, there's no auxiliary verb also for simple present tense, as you've seen in the previous slide. Are we all together? If you are not, please remember to use the chat to ask your questions and I will attend to them. Right. Next thing is emotive language. Yes, you realize that the word emotive, it comes from the word emotion, right? So from that you can get an idea of what emotive language is really all about. So emotive language, it shows us, so emotive language, sorry, it shows or creates feelings. You know, it is that language when you read it or when you hear it, it makes you feel certain emotions. You know, we'll get to that in a bit. So emotive language is usually used in poems, novels, and storybooks to cause strong feelings in people when they hear or read them. So emotive language is usually used in poems, in novels, in storybooks, you know, and you also use it also in social media, you know. I mean, if you are chatting to your friend, for example, you will use emotive language because you will want your friend to feel like he is your friend. You will want your friend to feel like she is your friend, you know. Yes, I mean that is the language that which we use with our loved ones so that they feel loved, you know, so that they feel special to us. So here's an example there. When you read when you read the words, she looked at the baby with teary eyes, it could make the reader to feel affectionate towards the baby. You know, imagine you are reading a novel, you are reading a storybook, and there is a part which says, then she looked at the baby with teary eyes. I mean, how would that make you feel? That may make you feel loving towards that baby. That will make you feel compassionate, you know, towards the baby. You may also feel compassion towards the woman who holds the baby, you know. So it is that type of language that authors will use to make you feel in a certain way in their novels. You know, it is not like on TV. You know, like on TV there is a certain way that the actors will look in a way as to make you feel in a certain way. But in the book, the only thing that the author has to make you feel those emotions that the characters are feeling is to use certain words, you know. Yeah, to use certain words like maybe I'm the author and I say the baby cries, you know. So when I do say that, then you may feel emotional, you know, feeling sorry for that baby. Oh, the baby is crying, you know. So yes, that is an emotive language. It is used to create feelings in us. It is used to show us the feelings of the people in that story. and also to make us feel the same way like those people in the story. All right. So if I'm the author writing a book, a very sad book, then I will really use those words, disaster, tragedy, and all those other words which will really make you to feel sad, to feel depressed, to feel down, to feel downcast. So yes, that is what emotive language is all about, and you realize that that is the language that we should use every day. So if today you can just go through any conversation you had maybe yesterday, you'll realize that you used emotive language. You may have used emotive language when you're talking to your parents, to make them feel loved and special, even with your friends, or if maybe there was somebody who you were not in good terms with yesterday when you were chatting, you probably used emotive language to make them feel bad. So yes, that's emotive language, you use it, and we study it in the English language so that you may know how to use it. So that if you write a poem, you may know how to write. So you may know how to write a poem in a way that which you use the emotive language to help you to communicate the feelings that which you are communicating, and to also create those same feelings to be felt by the person who will be reading what you will be writing. Okay, here's a question. Can you use emotive language in an essay? Yes, in a narrative essay, you can use emotive language. Remember, in a narrative essay, you are telling us what happened. A narrative essay is almost like a storytelling. So in a narrative essay, you are telling us a story. So if you're telling us a story, then you are going to use emotive language so that we can be able to identify with the themes of your essay, so that we may also identify with that. So with a descriptive essay, yes, you also can. If maybe in your descriptive essay you are describing a certain person, that this person is emotional, is a crybaby, is somebody who cries, who sobs, who's depressed, it can also work in that because it will help to communicate that character, that okay, this person is depressed, this person is a crybaby. So we start to feel compassionate, we start to feel sorry about the person, or that person you are describing in your descriptive essay. Thank you for such a wonderful question. Now we can move on to the next slide. Yes, you do use emotive language through your cell phones, right? Remember, I mean, if you are chatting to someone you love, you know, you're gonna use those words which make them feel loved. You're gonna say, "I love you," "I care about you," "I appreciate you." All of that is emotive language, because all of that is that language which makes you to make that person feel the way you want to make them feel. That is what they're trying to communicate, right? That is what emotive language is all about. So thank you for your question. Emotive language, you do use it all the time with your cell phones. Because if you can compare all the conversations you have, you realize that the conversation you have with a friend are not the same as the conversations you have with your parents or with your neighbors. Why? Because you don't feel the same love to all these people. So the emotive language you use with your best friend won't be the same as the one you use with your neighbor, because you do not love them in the same way, right? So yes, we use emotive language all the time. So this lesson will make you aware that you use emotive language. It is not something new to you. It's just that now I'm bringing it closer to home, that you are now starting to pay attention to it. Okay. Thank you for such a question. Thank you. Let's continue now to another type of language. Another type of language is manipulative language. I think you know where it comes from. Manipulative, from the word manipulation, from the word manipulate. So with manipulative language, this is the language which is directed to influence and persuade the audience. So manipulative language, you use it to influence the person that we are using that language on. right? So that is manipulative language. Another thing, manipulative language is usually used in print media such as our newspapers, as well as the advertisements you see on TV, so as to cause us people to react in a way that the person who uses that language wants them to. So, okay, it's like this. If I am advertising a certain product, I'm gonna use a manipulative language to get you to feel, to get you to react the way I want you to react, right? So here's my example there. I said that a hygiene soap advertisement may make you feel like you are dirty because you are not using their hygiene soap, and make you feel like you can only be clean if you use it, right? So if it's me, if it's me, if it's me and I have a company of hygiene soap, let's call it Jakey soaps. Yes, I have Jakey soaps, right? So in my advertisement, I will make you feel like as long as you do not bath with Jakey soap, then you are dirty. It doesn't matter what soap you use. It doesn't matter how long you shower, how long you bath. But I'm gonna make you feel like as long as you don't use my soap, Jakey soap, then you're not clean enough. And then how would that make you feel? That will make you feel dirty, and you may go to the bathroom after the advert and throw away the soap you're using. Then go to the nearest shop and go and look for Jackie soap so that you can bath with it and feel clean. All right. So yes, that is manipulative language. So yep, it is used in media, to cause us to feel in a certain way, to cause us to do certain things, right? Yeah, I think it also, yeah, like all the advertisements you can think of, whatever the advertising, whether it's makeup, whether it's a car, whether it's a cell phone, whatever the advertising on TV, they use manipulative language to make you feel in a certain way so that you can react in a certain way. I mean, if now I can make a very wonderful phone with 7 screens and everything, so yes, it will make you feel like the phone you have right now is worthless. The phone you have right now is nothing, so you can just throw away the phone you're using now and get my phone that which I'm using, the phone that which I'm advertising. So that is manipulative language, So in as much as I say that they use it in media, manipulative language is also used. Even you as a person, you can use manipulative language, and you as teenagers, that is something you will get to see that as a teenager, manipulative language is mostly used on you by your peers. Remember, if you don't understand, please use the chat and I will clarify whatever you may need to be clarified. So yes, since you are in grade 8, you are teenagers, and peer pressure really, what our peers use with peer pressure, they use manipulative language, guys. I mean, remember now, if maybe your friends, they come to you and they say, okay, we all know the situation right now, right? The situation with the lockdown, we are expected to stay at home and to not go anywhere, right? Fine. So imagine right now if the group of your friends, they come to your house and they say, let us go wherever. Let us go to the park and chill there. Let us make a party there. And then you are skeptical, you are reluctant to go. You said, no guys, we can't go because it is the lockdown. They give us restrictions, so we should not go anywhere. Well, what then will your friends say? Your friends will be like, let's go. What, are you chicken? So that is manipulative language. They are trying to persuade you. They're trying to make you react in a way that they want you to react. They're trying to make you to go with them to the park, even though you don't want to go because of the restrictions, right? So yes, even manipulative language, it is used every single day, and it is usually used by a person who wants you to do something that which you don't want to do. you know so other words that people can say to manipulate you will be, I dare you. I dare you to go out. I dare you to take my phone. I dare you to that. That is also an example of manipulative language. mm, yes, even sometimes, a friend can come to you, they ask you to do something very difficult for them. Imagine a friend coming to you saying, oh my friend, I'm so broke right now, can you just borrow me 1,000 rands, and you'll be like, I don't have it, and your friend wants you to steal that money from your parents. You can't do that. You don't want to steal from your parents. You are not a thief. So then to manipulate you, your friend may say, you will do it if you are my friend. Right? So that is manipulative language. That is your friend manipulating you to do something that which you don't want to do. They'll be telling you will do it if you are my friend. Right? And yes, so those are some examples of the manipulative language used. You realize that even as much as it is most popular in commercials on TV, on radio, on newspapers, on social media, yeah, even like on social media, there is that manipulative language. People telling you to share their statuses, to share their statuses, to like their statuses, those kind of things. That also is manipulative language because they persuade you to do something, they are influencing you to do something, and usually it is something that which you do not want to do. So yes, guys, that is manipulative language. So we're done with manipulative language. Let's move to the next section of our lesson, which is the sentence structure. Remember, if you have a question, please use the chat to ask. So a basic form of a sentence consists of a subject and a verb. I think you all know that by now. And here is an example. I said, I present. So you can see that I is the subject, present is the verb. And when I say I present, that is a complete sentence. And it is a basic form of the sentence. I present. That's all there is to it. So sometimes a sentence is made up of a subject, a verb, and an object. I think you all know that. So yes, another example, I present a lesson. So in this example, I is the subject because I is the subject. It is the one who performs the action, right? The verb is that action, which in this case is present, and the object is the person or the thing on whom the action is performed. So in my example, the lesson is the object. So I present the lesson. I is the subject. Present is the verb. That is, present is that action, is the action verb. The lesson is the object. Okay, here's a question. They say, do sentence structures also contain a finite verb? Yes, sentence structures, they do contain a finite verb. They do. They sometimes do have a finite verb, right? Yes. Yes, you can go through the homework yesterday, you will realize that remember, when I say a sentence structure, I'm talking about the things which make up a sentence, right? So you realize from yesterday's lesson, from the previous lesson of yesterday, you realize that the structure of those lessons, there is the subject, there is a verb. Sometimes the verb is just an auxiliary verb. Sometimes that verb is a finite verb. You will realize that when you go to yesterday's lesson. So yes, that is how it is. Yes. So in a sentence, we can have a finite verb. Yes, that is true, as you have seen in yesterday's lesson. So please go through yesterday's lesson for that, so that it can make the point to be closer to home, so you can understand it more. Remember, if you have a question, please direct it in our chat and I will attend to it. Thank you for your participation, guys. I so appreciate it. It really makes the lesson to be so wonderful and so enjoyable to even present it. So yes, sometimes a sentence is a command or an instruction, right? And in such cases, the subject is always assumed to be the pronoun you. Okay, here's my example there. So when I say to you right now, I say sit down. When I say sit down, right? I say sit down. What is it? You realize that when I say sit down, sit is a verb, down is a preposition. So is there a subject there? No, there isn't. There isn't. But you will see that if you could look at it sit down, you will see that the subject really is you, the person I'm talking to. you know. So sit down. When I say to you, sit down, is the same as me saying to you, you sit down, right? So you are the subject, right? So in an instruction or in a command, we always assume that the person who the command or the person to whom the instruction is directed to is the subject, right? So even right now I can say write this down. So you are the subject, even though I didn't say you write this down. Okay, are we all together on that? Okay, here's another question. Can we use a question to be a command? No. Remember, a command a command ends with a full stop or an exclamation mark. So if it ends, so remember guys, questions they end with a question mark. So if it ends with a question mark, it is not a command, it is not an instruction. Remember that when I give you a command, when I give you a command, I'm not asking you, I am telling you what to do. I'm saying sit down, go out, get out, So all those things, I'm not expecting an answer from you, right? Because it is a command, it is an instruction, it is not a question. I'm not expecting an answer from you. What I'm experiencing from you is a response. So when I say get out, I'm expecting you to get out. When I'm saying to you sit down, I'm expecting you to sit down, right? And you realize that the way I say a question and the way I say a command, they're not the same. And you will see that, I think you will see that tomorrow when I'll be going through the question forms. Yeah, when you go through the question form, you will see that much better. But it's enough now to say that a question is not a command. A command solicits a response, and not a spoken response, but a response in terms of an action. Remember, they say action speaks louder than words. So when I'm commanding you, when I'm instructing you, I do not expect you to say something to me, but I'm expecting you to do what I say, to do what I'm commanding you to do. So yes, as a result, commands and instructions are complete sentences, right? They are known as simple sentences because they only contain a subject and a finite verb. Somebody asked about a finite verb. So yes. So even okay, here's my example. You sit down. In you sit down, you'll see that you there is our pronoun. Sit is our finite verb, right? So you sit down. So there is our finite verb there. So you'll see that a sentence can have a finite verb instead of an auxiliary verb or. So you sit down there. You sit down. As that example is a finite verb. So it is a simple sentence and it is a complete sentence. No questions asked about that. So a sentence can be a statement, a question, a command, or an instruction, right? But one thing you should remember is that if a sentence is a question, it will end with a question mark at the end, right? So if a sentence is a question, it will have a question mark at the end. But if it is a statement, a command, or an instruction, then it will not have a question mark. Are we all together? Let's continue. So negation, that's the last section of our lesson. So a negation, also known as a negative form, is usually created by using the words no or not after a question. There are several examples there. May I offer you water? No, I do not want water. So that is negation. So when I'm offering you water, that's something positive. But it is a good thing for me to want to offer you water. But then with negation, you will say no, I do not want water. All right. So it is the negative form of what I was doing, of me offering you water. Then here's another example. I want no interruption while presenting a lesson. That is also a negative form, right? And I can write that again as saying, I do not want interruptions while presenting a lesson. Okay, so those are some examples. Remember, we usually use the word no or not for a negation, right? So another thing you can use antonyms to create the negative form. Remember, what are antonyms? Antonyms are opposite words, right? So antonyms are opposite words. For example, I arrive. What is the opposite of that? I depart. All right, so it is an opposite. So an example there, here's an example. I was able to present the lesson, right? So what will be the negative form of that? The negative form will be I was unable to present the lesson, right? So yes. Okay, remember to never put two negatives together because they will create a positive. Okay. Okay, yes, you're right. Do is not a question. Remember, yes. Okay, let us go back. My first example is the only one which has a question, right? So for the other ones, what makes them the negative form is that no on the second example, and on the third example is the not. All right. It is not always that there should be a question for there to be a negation. Even right now, when I say I want nothing, that is a negative form, right? Okay. So yes, sometimes you can use an antonym to create a negative form, right? So remember to never put two negatives together because they will create a positive. This reminds us back in maths when they say negative times negative is positive, right? So yes. So yes, my example is I don't want nothing, right? So you can see that what you can say instead is I don't want anything, or you can say I want nothing. So that also is a negation or a negative form, right? I hope you all understand. You're left with a few minutes before the lesson ends. So today's homework, please remember to take a screenshot because today's homework is two pages. It makes two slides. So there is today's homework. It is based on everything we did today. There is questions about simple and present tense, questions about emotive language and manipulative language, and there is also questions about sentence structure as well as negation. So please take screenshots, guys. There is question 1 and 2, which is about simple present tense and emotive language and manipulative language. So in question 1, I'm asking you to identify whether the following sentences are in simple tense or simple present tense or simple past tense. All right, that's for question 1. Please take a screenshot quickly because I'm gonna move. And in question 2, I am asking you to identify whether the following statements are whether the following statements use emotive language or manipulative language. All right. Yes. Then let's go to question 3 and 4. So in question 3 is about sentence structure. I'm asking you to identify the subject, the verb, and the object in the sentences. And in question 4, in negation, I'm asking you to write the following sentences as a negation. So that will be your homework for today, for today's lesson. So tomorrow, what we'll be covering? Tomorrow we'll be covering literal language, homonyms, homophones, and so much more. Please tune in. Yes, please tune in and we're gonna go through all these. So remember guys, that is your homework. Please do your homework, and please do your homework, ask somebody to help you, your friends, your parents, your siblings, your uncles, anybody who can help you. Please let them help you with today's homework. And if you still struggling, then we can help you tomorrow. So that is today's homework. Please take a screenshot because we have reached the end of our lesson. Please do the homework. It will help to show you whether you've understood today's lesson or not. And it will help you to see where you're struggling so that we can help you because we are here for you. So please do today's homework, get help, do it with your friends, with your parents, with your siblings, with whoever who can help you with it. From me and STEM Digital Lockdown, we will see you in tomorrow's lesson. This lesson will also be available on YouTube. The same thank you for the lesson. Yes, you are welcome. Thank you for your participation in today's lesson. We will meet tomorrow for another wonderful lesson. And remember, everything you've learned, please try to apply it as you can. Use emotive language on someone today. Okay? So use it on somebody today, use it on your friends, and you'll see how emotive language is so powerful, how it really helps to make better our relationships with everybody. So enjoy your day, have a wonderful one. I love you all. Thank you so much, and bye-bye. Enjoy your day. See you tomorrow, same time, same place. Bye.